Okay. Let's talk about how to improve our Kung Fu. When I met Raymond Nelson for the first time in New York City, Sifu Fogg and I were sitting there, and Raymond Nelson came and sit down next to us. I was like, oh my God, he's sitting next to me, oh man, because of the legendary stories. When he first came walking into the room, he's this tough guy. He had like this motorcycle helmet, and he wore the motorcycle helmet like on top of his own head. Just looked even taller and meaner. He didn't smile at all. Good thing there was like performances and stuff going on. I was like so nervous. But I asked him, I said, Sifu Nelson, if you were to recommend one form to practice to improve your Kung Fu, to improve my Kung Fu, what would it be? What form would that be? He didn't pause at all. He said, Gong Lik. I said, oh, I was thinking it would be some fancy form or some other secret technique, but he goes back to the basic and he says, no, Gong Lik, you practice your breathing, your footwork, get all the movements precise, and that will improve your Kung Fu tremendously. Ever since then, that's why I've always harped on Gong Lik. There's different phases of improving your Kung Fu with the Gong Lik. Work on it for a little bit, and then you have to let it settle and simmer, and then you work on it again. All these different smaller nuances that continually improve in how you move in the form and not let the form control you, but then you begin to control the form. What set of techniques? If I can only teach one technique, what would it be? Not necessarily to improve your Kung Fu, but to improve your fighting. It would be Simbo. And then what form? It would be 14 rows. If you master that, you will have mastered 70 to 80% of fighting, is my approximation. And defense against various techniques. I think that's all you would need for the majority of situations that come up. We all know Simbo as this and here, okay? This is the most basic form of Simbo. Simbo meaning evasion step. Henry Chung and his father, they always emphasize this as well. So there's got to be something to that. So we have the basic one, which I think the students just need to learn how to just step and just do the evasion, right? The evasion step. Now I want to add one extra element. We're already doing it, but I don't think it's emphasized. I'm making sure that I'm adding this block at the bottom, because as we open up, we don't want to leave this area exposed. Sure. So when we want to make sure we cover for our block, we're covering up here as well. And then the hands are moving, and then we're touching. Now we're bridging. So as we touch, there's the just touch, light touch, and then there's a little bit of pressing. Sure. Pressing, and then relax. Because now we're measuring, learning to measure right in here. You're rooting and you're pressing and measuring. So part of this is this give and take, because you feel like I'm pressing, but you need to kind of root. And part of that drill is when you root, I'm testing you. I'm testing, and you're feeling, is your structure sound? You know, are you going to be moved by just this? If I feel that, then I know, okay, I have to adjust and open the quad a little bit. And then when he presses, then there's more of a root. The next step is the Simbo with a kick. This variation can be kick, step, or kick, and then you're stepping back. Those are two valid processes that need to be trained. Sure. Is the Simbo with the kick step, because you're learning to come down but not fall down.
Sir.
You're learning to control your downward descent. Or you're kicking and then you're feeling an advancement and then you have to set back.
Sir.
So both need to be practiced. And then we'll do the kick step with the retreat. So we have the regular Simbo out with the lower block, and then we have the other version of a Simbo. It's still evasion step with outer block. Step, outer block, step, and step, and step. So now it gets more interesting because now we're not talking about, it's an evasion step, but we're going to use it as a takedown. If he's coming at me and doing a grab, I'm relying on my stepping, because with the step, I'm using my weight to get out of the way. Evade, but I'm also doing a sweep. It's just one of those things that we do it, but we're not thinking about all the built-in smaller techniques. And then even this one, during the transition, you're kicking, and then I'm still attacking up high. So don't let this hand do all the work. The drill is to get people good enough to where they can kind of flow. But I think starting off is just doing this, and then you're like, okay, who's gonna do the attack? So then, boom. Continue. Boom. So you can do it as this one-step sparring type of scenario. Boom, boom, and then we resume again. Then, do I want to practice with number 2? So a lot of times we're playing hands, and then you get me trapped like this. Well, all I have to do is number 2. But I can't force it because if it's too strong. But if I can use my weight, I can use my weight and create this. It's like in the form, you're looking at this big circle, but if I tighten up the circle, then that's the technique. And another reason why I like doing the Simbo, because a lot of times we have to close the distance. Because if there's a combat situation, we have to kind of get from here to there. But a safe way to transition is not just jump, but to, right, Jatue? So all the 14 roads, it has this before you do the technique. So I kind of always wondered, well, why for number 3, it's boom, boom like this? And I kept thinking of it in the sequence of, this is actually the first technique, second, and then this is the third. But then this third could actually be the first technique before this sequence. So you flip it, and so you're not doing this, and then this. Now you're going from the approach of, okay, I'm distracting here, I'm distracting the person here, then I'm doing the technique up here. 4, right? 4, and then 5. Okay. Now there's a kick, but it may be something like that, trying to damage all the kidneys back there. So it's not the traditional way of thinking that we were gonna do the kick out here and you're just tapping. But I mean, really getting in close to where it could be almost a kneeing technique. I think in terms of practical application, is it that this person presses? It's either that or I'm catching a strike here. See how I switched it? So it's not the Feng Sao, but it's a Diu Sao. But it's okay, it's interchangeable. You want to try to be as close as you can to the form, but based on whether it's outside gate or inside gate, it it takes a little modification. Number 8 kind of reminds us, hey, allow choice still can be done as an inside gate technique. So if we're like this, so it does make sense that after here, I'm clearing and attacking here, and that hand automatically comes up, and it gives it to me to just take that, yeah, boom, and this is almost like then clearing that out of there for the next attack. I'm thinking more of the core application of this technique is to demonstrate to the students that you can attack a limb. You don't always have to attack the face. So I'm putting your arm out of commission here.
Sir.
And attacking that deltoid to just really frog it.
Sir.
Boom, boom. To really be effective, it's not like I have to kind of get in my stance. I'm wanting to get in a traditional low horse stance, but it almost seems like I'm having to travel too much to get that in there when I could just, it just slips down. Same thing here, right? Option of kick. We know 11 like this, right? So there's just go in like this, or is it I'm coming in and I'm going past you? So there's different ways I can do it. The nice way is kind of like opposite leg, opposite hand to go for the throat, and then you're kind of stop here, right? But the other way is actually it's the same leg and the arm, because now I'm going past you, and that's so much more ground for you to have to defend against. I think the whole idea is this quick parry to get, this hand hasn't moved, right? It's not like an ao lao where I'm pulling back and then I now have to travel this distance. I'm here, I'm already halfway there. I don't need to pull back and then go back out. That's all that is. It's boom, and then this comes underneath to, so now we're talking about number 13, come in and frog the calf to take this leg out of commission. Boom. Obviously 14's nice. But 14 always seems to flow really well. To summarize the essential fighting techniques of 7-star, you got it with just doing Simbo and 14 roads. To understand 7-star, then it's learning and understanding the 8 hard form, 12 soft, 12 keyword in terms of the principles. But in terms of the fighting techniques, all the principles are already built in there.